Hello, hello, visibility hackers. Welcome to this episode of the live show. I'm your host, Coach Molly from Visibility Hacking Studios. And today, boy, oh boy, we've got a great show for you. As always on our Monday live shows, there's been so much going on in the visibility hacking world. And well, okay. Without spending the entire hour talking about what's been going on in the visibility hacking world, all I'm going to say is that Jim and I were flooded with questions and comments and ideas for the summer camp version of Live Academy. We have such an incredible community of entrepreneurs around us. And well, we're always shifting and adjusting and moving things around to make sure that we can best serve you guys, our community. And so because of that, we've pushed back the start date for the summer camp program to allow for more people to sign up. So there's still more space. There's still more time if you are interested. So the links are down in the description. And for those of you who are keen, you can head over to visibilityhacking.com/let's go live. And you can get access to the summer camp program for, it's like less than a fraction of the price of the full program. You're getting access to the full program at this ridiculous discounted price. So make sure that you guys sign up for Visibility Hacking's Live Academy Summer Edition. It's 6 weeks long. It's going to start towards the end of July on the 25th, so 2 weeks away. You can still sign up, so definitely check us out with that one. And without further ado, let's kick off today's episode with a quote. This quote of the week this week is an unknown quote. It's from an unknown author, but I think it really sets the tone for what we're going to talk about later on today. And the idea is that the same boiling water that softens the potato is the same water that hardens the egg. It's not about what you are made of. It's all about what you are made of, I should say. It's not about the circumstances around you. And that is so, so true. So let's roll this intro and let's talk about how this quote really is resonating with my life this week. Oh boy, oh boy. So first off, shout outs to all of our Canadian visibility hackers, because I bet at least 39% of you are feeling the same pain that I felt this week. And that is the fact that one of Canada's largest telecommunications providers pretty much went silent for a couple days this week. So long story short, for those of you who don't live in the Canadian context, we have pretty much a monopoly when it comes to our telecom services. So our cell phones, our home phones, our TV and cable TV, our home phones, landlines, all of that kind of stuff is all run through pretty much two different big companies. And one of those big companies happens to be the provider for all of my services. Because the day before the blackout, we'll call it, the day before, or the disconnect, let's call it the disconnect. The day before the big disconnect, I had just switched all of my services over to this company. And so the next morning when I woke up, I was doing my usual morning routine. I'll watch some kinds of funny videos as I'm waking up, and this video just didn't get to the punchline. It just kept freezing. And I was like, this sucks. I'm checking on my phones and my phones don't have service. My landline doesn't have service. There's no internet or Wi-Fi in my house. Whether I'm plugged in or I'm on Wi-Fi, nothing was working. Nothing was working. Nothing at all. It was complete silence. You couldn't check the TV to see what was going on. You couldn't check what was happening with this company because they were sending out their notifications about this nationwide outage. They were sending out information on their Twitter account, because that's exactly the place that I'm going to go and look for this information when I can't get on the internet. Just didn't make sense. But it did. It was a big shock to the system. So when you're running a business, especially a business that's online, do you have contingency plans? Do you have a way of, well, even at the most basic level here in the visibility hacking world, I couldn't get a hold of Jim. I couldn't talk to him on Facebook. I couldn't get him on Voxer. I couldn't get him on a text message. I could not contact him whatsoever. And what was happening here, the reality of my neighborhood, what was happening is that there was no internet anywhere because that second provider doesn't work here. They might work for your cell phone, but they won't work for your Wi-Fi. They won't work for your home internet or your business internet. Only very small number of businesses in this area have access to that other network. But yeah, our community centers were full of people. They brought their lawn chairs and their TV chairs and they're setting up in the hallways of these community centers while kids in camp are running up and down the hallways. These adults are sitting there doing their Zoom calls and their meetings and trying to get their work done. And it was really remarkable to see how people shift. Let's reverse back in time for a little bit. Back when I was a teenager, I used to work at this canoe school at the base of the Toronto waterfront. And we'd paddle around the Toronto Islands, and we were all about being outdoors. We would not notice if there was a power failure because everything around us was disconnected from that part of the system. And one day at the end of work, all of our campers go home and we are standing around outside under the tree having our staff meeting. And we have this one staff member who always has this beautiful ability of finding the most absurd things that we wouldn't have noticed or wouldn't have picked up on otherwise. He has this keen eye for the most random things to see. And as we're having our staff meeting, he looks up, and we're in Toronto, so we have this giant tower called the CN Tower, and there's an elevator that goes up through the center of it, and it's all glass in the middle so you can watch the elevators. And we're standing there in our staff meeting, and he looks up and he goes, "Guys, the elevator in the CN Tower hasn't moved in like 20 minutes. I think there's something going on." And about a moment later, our office manager, who's the only person who's connected to power or the radio or anything, we just have marine radios that we hear like the police and search and rescue and stuff. And so our office manager comes out and she goes, "Hey guys, so listen, getting home tonight might be a bit of a challenge. Public transit isn't working. There seems to be like this power outage. It's affecting a lot of things. So just take your time getting home. It's okay." And while this massive blackout ended up taking like a week to get solved, it covered so much of Ontario, down into the States, parts of Quebec. It was wild, this power outage. People couldn't use their debit cards or their credit cards. They couldn't use ATMs. Anything that was connected to power wasn't going to cut it anymore. And that was before all of our business and all of our life was connected to the internet. Now what happens when the internet disappears? Credit card transactions couldn't work because the debit processing platform was run through this company, this platform that was now shut down. What happens when you're trying to run your business and you haven't thought of those contingency plans? And I'm fully admitting that there were certain things that I wasn't planning for. I did not think that this was going to happen. My backups were always to have my cell phones and my home Wi-Fi and the ability to have a secondary Wi-Fi connection. Now, what happens when all of those are shut down? Every single one of them was shut down. The only communication we had to the outside world is an American cell phone that we were trying to get rid of the day previous. We had just kept it to the end of the billing cycle. And that, I'm so grateful we had that because it was the only connection we had to emergency services. We couldn't call 911, let alone run our business. And so, for you guys, my friends, before we dive into anything else today, I want you to think of those contingency plans. I want you to plan for the unexpected. I want you to take just a few minutes to hash that out. If you have business partners like Jim and I, we live in two completely different countries. Thankfully, we're in the same time zone, but that's the reality for so many digital entrepreneurs is that we aren't in the same physical space as our teams and we rely on our internet connections to keep us connected. Make sure you have those backup plans because I don't want you to get stranded like we did. It sucks. And so, my friends, with that in mind, let's get to today's interview. I sat down a little bit ago with a really cool entrepreneur who he's just getting started in his business and he was able to really blow up his visibility over the course of only a few months because he focused on a singular action in his business. He focused on the power of masterclasses. And you'll hear from him about how he started out with being kind of unknown and started sharing his journey and the conversations he would have with these experts, sharing those with his audience so that not only he can grow, but so his audience can grow from that information as well. So without further ado, let's dive in and talk to Larry from Belgrade. International visibility hacking in the house today. Coming in straight from Belgrade. Oh my goodness. Larry, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, Mola, it's great to be a guest here. Thanks for having me.
The reason I wanted to bring you on is because you do a really cool mastermind every Friday in your group.
Well,
Tell
thank
us
you.
about it. How did it start? What is it? What do you do? I want to know everything.
Yeah, I have a movement of fearless goal-getters. We have started doing it from the beginning of October, and it was really, really fantastic. Actually, I have started doing those fearless lives daily from the June of last year. So I have already 403 days in a row doing fearless lives, and it started like content creation a challenge, which I took, and afterwards I decided not to stop it. So I was doing content. I was putting content daily on my profile, and later on I have decided to do primarily fearless lives. So I was doing lives daily from 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or even bigger. But it was daily, each and every day, and it was on my profile. Later on, I have started doing it in other groups, and in October, I have started my own group. When I seen that some people have joined me in those fearless lives, they were all also referencing that they are doing the same thing, and it was really, really awesome. I simply find out that I am a leader of a movement, and I have to channel that and go faster and stronger.
Oh, I
And
love it.
yeah, and that's something actually which Russell Bronson is teaching us. He told us literally in those expert secrets that best book he has written. He has told us that we have to start doing our content regularly and to put them consistently. And after 1 year, we will achieve personal and business transformation. And I simply took that it's a great wisdom since he's so successful man, businessman, and I actually started that and wasn't totally sure what I'm doing because I haven't clarity at the beginning. And just I put took a leap of faith and started doing it. And uh, habits are very strong thing. When you start doing something regularly, after 3 weeks you have a habit,
Yep.
and it's much more easier to start doing anything when you are in the habit. And that's something that we have. Our lives are uh, consist of so many habits which are we are doing them on autopilot, and even some things that looks at the first sight look very daunting and hard and horrible. After a while, you get used to it, and it's simply easy, and it's a second part of your life. So I've started doing those lives, and they became a habit very soon. And later on, you know that hockey stick. You're from Canada. You're good at hockey. It's flat. It's flat. You're on a plateau, and you know sometime in the future, in through 2 months, 3 months, or 10 years, you become an overnight success. that's
Yeah,
something that's something
exactly.
really fantastic. So I also became an overnight success after 4 months of putting those lives daily, and it simply became an obligation to me to help those people who are following me, who believe that doing fearless lives is something really great. uh, I simply decided to call them to join me on my journey, and we are discovering things together. So I'm not so far away from those people who are inside of my movement, and I'm not expert for everything. And I decided simply that I have to learn so many things. And during the process, I wanted to enable them to show my people to learn with me together. So I'm few steps ahead only, and I simply know that everybody who is in entrepreneurship, in marketing, you have to have so many skills put together in order to have some traction, because you cannot do business with one skill or with two skills. You have to have a mix, so-called stack skill.
Yeah.
So you have to learn marketing and sales, and making those relationships, and doing lives, and video editing, and so many things that you can outsource so many of that, but you cannot outsource everything altogether,
Mhm.
and it could be overwhelming. So I decided to help my people to learn together with me by calling experts, and we started learning together from people who are experts for some narrow field. And master classes are actually a very great thing, because in master class you are focused on one
Yeah.
thing. It's smaller than some big course, and it could be consumed in the matter of hour and a half, 2 hours. And when you're done with masterclass, you can do one particular thing very good. And I decided to call experts inside of my group once a week. It's totally okay. I think frequency once a day would be horrible, but once a week it's great. You can find a day, and we have a Fearless Friday. It's a day at the end of work week. After that, you have also a weekend to watch that masterclass and to put it in the use. And it's great because those things are very actionable, and simply you can pick a topic that is interesting. For example, how to make a live, or how to make a funnel where you sell something. Simply, we are focusing each and every Friday to do one thing, and to get best experts who can teach us in that 1 year. No fluff. So we are just doing something that is really cool, and could be put in the use, could be leveraged in your business.
Oh, so cool. So cool. Okay, so
I'm glad you love it. I
let's
know you're
let's
gonna love it.
let's reverse and let's go back to the beginning when you were just doing your fearless lives.
Yeah.
So, did you start out the challenge of going live every day with someone else's group?
I actually took a challenge of content creation, not doing live. I took that with Daniel Grambom, and he is really great. He did 11 rounds of those challenges, and they are same in structure, and they are really great, because they are building a community. People are interacting among themselves, and when you have some action, when you interact with people, you simply swallow easier even harder stuff. You are learning one, two, three things. You are communicating with people. People are interacting among themselves, cheering each other wins, and it's really great. And I started that challenge without a big cause, without a vision that I will go from that moment on, that I will do that really daily without interruption. But it was simply so so good when you uh, do when I started doing those putting that content. It simply make a great difference. Before that challenge, my profile was simply dead.
Yeah.
It was totally boring and dead, and no interesting content, no engagement, no interactions, no sales, nothing. Uh, but when I started doing something systematically, and I was repeating process, I discovered that the best thing you can do is to simply have a leap of faith and start doing imperfect action. Imperfect action is a big is the greatest tool, greatest weapon against procrastination, against shiny object syndrome, against imposter syndrome. Simply, when you took imperfect action, you can do something. You can collect your feedback from people. You can after that consider that feedback. You can improve yourself, and if you are consistent, consistency is the key. I will tell you now the secret, which you can pay $10,000 from some gurus, and maybe they tell you, maybe, just maybe. So I'm telling that for free. Consistency is the key. You can start and make a crappy content, uh, do whatever you want if you collect feedback from your ideal audience. The wisdom is how to find those people whose
Mhm.
feedback is relevant. You don't need the feedback from average Joe you met on internet. You simply have to find some people who you are addressing, and the moment you discover who is your ideal client, you are addressing only those people. You're not addressing anybody else. So if you are addressing your ideal people, they will respond back, and other people will run away. And that's the great thing in putting content out there. So you are putting content only for your people, and they will come. Uh, if you are confident in that, if you are doing that consistently, you don't have to have attraction at the beginning. Nobody will respond. Maybe you have a wrong audience on your profile. Maybe you were putting uh, quotations and inspiration things on your profile for 2 years, and you have collected wrong people.
Yeah.
You have to start to make a decision, and to start doing something that is meaningful, and to focus only on your people and put content for them. And it can happen that you have interaction, hundreds of people cheering you for your smart quotes, but later they will be simply surprised what happened to this Larry, or what he's putting on his profile now, and they will run away, and your people will come. But it could take you 2 months, 3 months, half a year. You have to simply do that no matter what. And when you
Yeah.
when you come to decision, no matter what, at the end you will achieve any goal if you are consistent, uh, if you are doing that for a longer period. You have to find your way how to survive that period, not to starve and not to die during the process, but simply if that process is something that could be rewarding at the end, you just have to do it no matter what.
Absolutely. Oh, Larry, how do people get in touch with you? How do they find out when your next mastermind is, what topics you're covering, all of that fun stuff? How do they get in your
Yeah,
world?
we are in the Fearless Go Getters group, and you can find that simply. It's the best to find it through my profile. When you come to my profile, you can find it that everywhere. And we are doing Fearless Friday live. It's easy to remember. So each Friday we are doing a masterclass where you can learn something that is really rewarding if you put that on that your stack, and you are starting implementing that. Everything can be useful if you are implementing. When you learn something, you have to implement it right away. If you let that for tomorrow or for next week, it will probably it will happen never. So
Yep.
I'm stimulating people to take action the very moment they'll see something, because I'm putting away those master classes. They are not for a long time. They're inside of the group. So when you hear that there is something interesting, you have to jump in straight away without consideration and without second thoughts. And after that, make a bulleted list what you have to do, simple plan, and start executing, start testing things. If you make 10 action, maybe eight action will be total bomb, and nothing will happen. But those two actions will be good. You can improve them, and if you stick with that, you will be really great. So master classes are something that I have found that is really great for my movement, because people inside of my movement are doing lives and they are interacting with each other. So we are doing fearless live. That's something that with which we are starting, and then later on we are moving to goal getting. So goal getting is actually something that is our primary goal. It's not a goal by itself to be fearless and to do lives, but to achieve something and to leverage your knowledge in business, in marketing.
I love it. Larry, thank you
I
so much
knew
for
it.
joining us.
It was such a pleasure to be here with you, Mo. It's really great.
Let's talk about creating your own masterclass. If you're inspired by that interview, then you're definitely going to want to pay attention to these 3 simple steps in how to create your own mini masterclass. First step is to understand who your audience is, understand their needs, understand the obstacles that they're facing, so that you can go on to step 2, which is to go reach out, invite, and introduce your potential expert, the person who's going to lead the masterclass. So this is broken up into 3 steps. First of those steps is to first reach out. So once you understand who your audience is, what their needs are, you then go out and find the experts who can help speak to those needs, speak to those obstacles, and help give tools and tips and strategies and tactics and action steps that will actually help your people move forward and get away from that block, move through that block. And then, so we reach out, we do the casual, like, hey, would you be interested in joining my audience, blah, blah, blah. Second thing is the official invitation, where we're going to tell them about the masterclass. We're going to tell them about the nitty gritty details. And also the third part of this is the official introduction. Tell them about who your audience is. Tell them about those blocks. Tell them about those obstacles so that they can speak to the information that your audience most needs to take action. If we're not aligned with who our audience is, then our content's not going to make much sense, and we're not going to actually grow our audience because we're going to be all over the place. Now, the third step is really important because a lot of people will host these master classes. They'll bring on these great experts, but then they'll disappear and they'll just sit back and watch the show. Instead, I invite you to facilitate the experience. You know your audience way better than this expert you're bringing in. You need to frame the experience. You need to help them understand from where they are, what is their collective knowledge at the beginning of this masterclass, and how do we guide them through using the insider lingo you have within your movement, using points of reference that you've already brought up within your movement, and helping really bring that community together. So following those 3 simple steps, you're going to have a fantastic masterclass. And when you're running your masterclasses, definitely throw links down in the comments here or in the Visibility Hackers Facebook group, because we love to learn things. We're a group of people who love to learn, but also we want to celebrate and support what you guys are putting out there. So definitely let us know about your next masterclass. So usually in this segment, I show you a picture, but today I'm going to show you something that I've been working on for a couple weeks. So I've been hanging out with the one and only Lefty from Create with Lefteris, and we're doing his Reels package. So he came by a couple weeks ago. We set up all of our filming equipment, and we just banged out a ton of great Reels filming in 2 hours. We did pretty much an entire summer's worth of content in 2 hours, and I want to share with you one of them. So here we go. Of course, it doesn't want to load today. Hold on, what's happening?
Hey entrepreneurs, here's something I bet you didn't know. Let's talk seriously. Your experience, your knowledge, your perspective on life, on business, on the problems that you solve for your people. That's what makes you unique. So go out there, share your superpowers, if you will, with your people and start solving problems. Follow me for more.
I love it. So definitely keep your eyes on our Instagram page, on our YouTube page, because our Reels and Shorts will be dropping very, very soon. And you don't want to miss them because they're hilarious. Let's just say there's lawn gnomes, there's zombies, the whole deal. Just keep your eye out. How do I always mess up the graphics for this segment? Today, we're talking about The Lean Startup, which is a book that I just finished in audiobook format. It's definitely highly recommended because it talks about the lean methodology. I am a huge fan of the lean methodology. It comes out of manufacturing, and what it's about is really lean, cutting the fat. And what is the fat? Well, it's talking about how we use our people, our resources, our energy, our efforts, our money, our time, all of that to provide value for our customers. Now, if we can look at where we are maybe wasting energy, effort, resources, etc., compared to where we're being most impactful with those energy, efforts, and resources, we can actually take away those wasted efforts, rejig those processes so we can be more impactful. And ultimately, we end up providing more value for the customer, less wasted resources, and we can move our businesses forward way quicker. And what's great about this process is it comes out of manufacturing, but it's then been kind of rejigged and works for management. It works for large organizations, small organizations, international organizations, and we're starting to see it popping up with online small businesses as well. Especially when we look at the economy as it is right now, we need to be focused on making sure we have the best bang for our buck, for example. So if you are in the startup world, if you are a small business owner, if you are an employee in a huge company, whichever of those categories you fit into, I highly, highly recommend that you check out The Lean Startup. It's a fabulous book. I got it free at the library. You can probably get your hands on a copy as well. All right, my friends, today's hot tip is harkening back, way back to the beginning of today's episode when I talked to you about contingency plans. So today's hot tip is to go out and create your contingency plans. Make sure you have at least 2 methods of communication with every member of your team. You have backups. You have, maybe you've even hired a VA to be able to contact your customers in case you become disconnected. And that, my friends, is your hot tip because it'll keep your butt out of the fire. What an awesome episode today, my friends. We've kind of talked about a little bit of everything from creating masterclasses to what happens when you are completely disconnected and everything in between. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. My last word for today is to go out and connect. Remember, when we focus on creating content for the sake of connection, when we focus on building those connections with our people, whether it's helping them learn with other experts on our shows, or whether it's we're teaching them things and we're teaching through storytelling, whatever it is, I want you to make sure that you are focusing on connecting with your people, because that's going to be the absolute game changer. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you again for the live show next week. We'll also see you on Tuesday for the showcase, and of course, Fridays for Friday Night Live. Thank you so much for joining me. See you again soon. Remember, I love you. Be excellent to each other and just go live. Your people are out there waiting for you.